blood, I'm about to drop it loud. So what we talking about? There is no talking now. We gave back to the blast, and we're rocking now. It's tick-tocking now, the clock's talking down. All my irritators try to work the talking down, but they can sound me down. Already on the ground, everything is growing faster than I can count.
Hey everyone, it's your host Cyber Gaming Studios, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have the Galaxy Note 10 right in my hands right now, and I'm going to be probably doing a review about this very, very soon. I'm also going to be doing a review of the whole Huawei Nexus 6P, since I've been using that phone for longer than a month, and I just got my Galaxy Note 10, so I'm really happy about that. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to smash that like button, and I hope you guys do enjoy. There are going to be two perspectives, which the majority of this video will most likely, not majority of it, but some of it will be in landscape mode, and then the rest may be in portrait mode. That's simply by default of the application that we're going to be installing, and in today's video, we're going to be talking how to install Android over your current operating system without having to overwrite Android in the first place. This is a wonderful idea, and whoever made this, it was brilliant, because for a very long time, people have been wondering how to root their devices, specifically how to be able to use a separate operating system on the device. Now, there are certain things you do need to be aware of when it comes to this application. There are requirements that you need to do, and before we reveal what this application is and how to search it up, you're going to need at least with a device of 3 gigabytes of RAM. If you have it, then that's perfectly fine. If you have higher, then that's also even better, because the more RAM, the more power for you. And if you're running a device with about at least 2 gigabytes of RAM, forget about it. You're not going to be able to run this application, because the developers even stated in the description of the Google Play Store that you simply need at least a device with 3 gigabytes of RAM or higher. There's no requirements of what kind of specs you have. It just specifically tells you that you need a device with at least 3 gigabytes or higher. You can see all that information in the description of the app when you go and find it in the Google Play Store. So what is this app? This app will allow you to instantaneously dual boot your Android device. Now, the Galaxy Note 10 for me is a brand new device that I've gotten yesterday. So, and this doesn't void your warranty at all. This is just a similar to what you see on PC, where you just emulate it through a program, and this is the same thing. So I'm going to show you guys how to install this, and let's get started. So first off, you need to go into the Google Play Store, and you need to go into the search bar. The first thing you need to search up is called Virtual Machine. You can put Android Virtual Machine, but for Virtual Machine, you can just go for Virtual Machine. And the application you need to search for is called VMOS, Virtual Root Android and Android Double System. What this means is basically it's an app that's a virtual machine, but it's a virtual machine that runs another version of Android. And it's really awesome. It's really awesome. You can be able to run Android within your Android operating system. And it doesn't matter what Android version you have, as long as you have at least a minimum over 5.0 or over. You can't do this before that. But it was really awesome that you could do that now on your Android device. Now, I don't know when this app was released, because I just discovered this by myself when I was trying to look for a virtual machine to run Windows, and I came across this. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I looked at it, and it was actually Android emulator. Now, it's not an actual Android emulator, but it is similar to an Android emulator where you play apps and stuff like that. But this is an actual fully fledged, full-on Android app where it's just going to run Android within a virtual machine environment. So you can screw around with it, and you won't wreck my own device, but it's pretty useful. So once you install it, you'll have an application that you will see in your launcher, and it's called VMOS. It's not actually the whole name, but it's called VMOS. Once you launch it, you should be able to launch it, and it will open up into the virtual machine. It will take approximately about 5 to 10 minutes for this to set up, so you don't want to stop your background services. Once everything is all done and all set up, you'll be presented with this screen, and it's a wonderful, beautiful screen. I love the wallpaper. I love the icons. It looks really amazing. The sad part about this version of Android is that it is using Android version 5.1.1. Yes, to a lot of people that may not be up to today's standards, but in reality, it does. I think it does receive system updates. I'm not 100% sure, but it is at least a 5.1.1 instead of 5.0.1 and 5.0.2. I'd rather have that than having those shitty ass versions that kill your battery and can pretty much damage more than what you don't want it to do. So even though that this comes with Android Lollipop, it's really cool. You can go into the actual in-game. If you have like a phone that basically has no touch, buttons, or buttons where you has buttons, but you have like a virtual, navigation. This is perfect because simply you don't have to worry about having to press extra buttons and you don't press the wrong ones, because your current navigation bar gets hidden. So these navigation bars for Android Lollipop can show. It's really innovative and it's very intuitive. I really like this, and it's something that I can pretty much emulate anything I wanted to do, specifically if I wanted to debug apps without affecting my own Android device. Simply because the phone I have is a Samsung Galaxy Note 10. I just got it yesterday, and I'm paying at least of $138 to $145 per month to be able to pay off the phone and pay my phone bill at the same time. And trust me, it is not cheap. So I really don't want to risk my Note 10 Plus to void its warranty in case something happens. The good thing about this is that this won't void your warranty because it is a virtual machine. It doesn't alter the system. It uses your internal storage to be able to install this and being able to run it off your SD card. And the great thing about my model is a 256 or 58, I think it's 256 or 258 gigabyte model, and it's a really amazing. I've never seen that much storage. My Nexus 6P doesn't even have that much storage. It has 64 gigabytes, which is a better improvement than what I used to have with my Samsung Galaxy S7, and now has 32 gigabyte of storage, but which is amazing. If you want to know how much storage you'll have when you do install this virtual machine. Right now, the Note 10 has 12 gigabytes of RAM. If you get the Note 10 regular, the non-plus version, you only get 8 gigabytes, and I can't really tell you exactly how much RAM you're gonna get for the VM machine, but you can also see if you come across this video. All you gotta do is go to apps, you gotta go to SD card, go to running, and you can see how much RAM it gives you. It gives you for me, it only gives me about 2.2 gigabytes of RAM. And this is something that you can't really edit. I think you can. You have to pretty much find a way to edit it. But either way, depending on how much RAM you have, will also separate how much RAM that you can use. So the OS of your actual Android operating system doesn't lag out, and you can have enough RAM to use and run applications without having to worry either if they're safe or not. Unfortunately, if you're concerned about security, this does not have any kind of sort of security patch. So this VM virtual machine is subject to a lot of the exploits that has not been fixed, and has been fixed in the newer versions of Android and the new security packages up to August 1st, 2019 and higher. You're going to be expecting a lot of problems when it comes to security. So if you're worrying about if it has security part, don't worry. Even if something happens to the virtual machine, it won't affect your current operating system because it's running on a virtual machine. There's nothing that it can do to affect anything and affect your actual data. It's just using a virtual machine. The also cool thing is that you can also set your resolution. So if you go back all the way up to these VMOS settings, you can change your resolution. Every time you can add a resolution. You can change how you want it to specifically do. I don't know specifically my resolution for my phone, which I can pretty much do that. But right now it's at 1440 at 2000 by 2927. I believe I think that's like regular 4K, but you could also, if you want to cancel, just press back and it'll cancel. Just remember, any changes that you do to the settings, like virtual buttons, you're going to have to restart the VM. Meaning that once you click restart, it's going to close the VM and you just have to manually restart the app and it will become in effect. And what does it mean by a virtual button? Virtual button is this little bar you see right here at the bottom. If you disable this, this will be gone, but you won't be able to use any features that you require this. Even if you see your own navigation bar, you won't be able to use it for this operating system simply because it's not a virtual machine, it's controlling the actual hardware on your phone. So you need to have this on in order for it to use it, but it's really neat if you're really going to use it for something else, or specifically like extra accessories like mouse and keyboard, etc., etc. You can look at the floating window, and you can turn this off if you want to, and I pretty much keep it on because I don't know how to shut this off properly. The only thing I can think of shutting it properly is restarting my phone, but I don't really want to do that. So you also have system settings. You have all basic settings such as from display. You can change how display. You can cast the display. You can see how much storage you have, which I have 195 gigabytes of storage left. And this is only simply because this virtual machine is using my internal storage as a way for it to read it. You can see all information such as like backup, you can look at all your information, you can look at debug options, which will ask you if you want to enable root. There is an option, you can grant root permission, and you can also disable this, but remember, when you enable this, it's going to require you to restart the virtual machine to be able for this to become effect. This also happens in Windows, so you shouldn't be, if you use the Android emulator on Windows, you should already know that this is going to happen, and you shouldn't be worried too much about it. There are a lot of options here you can mess around with, and you can just see what they do. So if you're scared of specifically doing it to your device, you can see what it does, and especially if with root, you can test out applications that if you're scared of rooting your own device, you can be able to test it on here, and it'll be easily safe in a safer environment. You can install applications as much as you want, and it's really convenient because say if you want to for example, you want to be able to download a kernel manager, you want to be able to manage the operating system in a way where it's not as affecting the virtual machine, but not the hardware itself. It is in some cases for rendering it, but not actually affecting your operating system. This is a great way to be able to test out your apps in a secured environment, so if something goes wrong, you don't affect your device in the process. You know what's going on, you can see logs, and etc., etc. You don't have a lot of apps available to you pre-installed, as you can see here. I had to download ES File Explorer manually, and if you want to download this manually, just open the browser and just go into, I don't know why it's doing that, but all you gotta do is just search ES File Explorer, that close actually crashed. So just type in ES File Explorer Pro, and it's going to take you to a website. The first website you want to go for, which is the non-bullshit version, is you want to find the website that has Android 1 on it, which you'll see right here, the Android-1.com, and it has like that. Click that. It's going to give you a little page, and all you got to do is click this little big button that says download ES File Explorer. It's going to download it. You may have an ad if you have an ad. Right now, the browser is being done for me, so it is not working correctly for me because I am using a partial of my own RAM to record this video, so not everything's going to be accessed to me. So I would recommend you, when you're running this virtual machine, try not to run a lot of applications in the background. Give your phone a fresh reboot before running this application so you don't run into bugs like what I'm encountering right now. Just keep in mind that if anything has happened, you have a feedback application where you can report and give bugs to the developer so they can go and improve it and fix it. I'm not sure if this application has received or will receive any future Android version updates, but it's really nice to know that you can pretty much run a customized version of Android on your own Android device. I'm actually running this on Android Pie, but the version that we're running this in virtually is Android Lollipop version 5.1.1, and it's not the greatest operating system to date, but back then, this shit was the best operating system you got out there. Use less RAM, and it was just one of the best. Now, you have more features that more intrigue your taste, so this doesn't gonna have a lot of features that you want. You're pretty much stuck on that one. But it's a great operating system, and I think you guys should definitely try it. If you guys definitely want to try it, I'll have the link to the application as well in the description. And I am recording this all in 4K on the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. And if you didn't end up enjoying this video, you know what to do. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.